Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. Uh, Thrilled with the opportunity ahead. Huge thanks to the Game Above Sports Bowl for the invite. This is an exciting time for our football team. Had practice last week, Thursday and Friday. Both practices were spirited, competitive. Friday, I would argue, is one of our most competitive physical practices we've had all year. It's been a great opportunity to continue to challenge this football team and finish off the season the right way, finish what we started, and also just an incredible opportunity to continue to develop. A lot of guys on this football team that have played limited football, and whether that be opportunities to get back into our offense and our defense, or continued growth in special teams. Excited about the way last week went. Excited about what's ahead of us. Central Michigan, CMU, Coach Drinkle, the job that he's done in his first year at CMU is really impressive. Know that we have a great opponent in front of us, an opponent that will be highly motivated, well coached, and still just getting started in terms of truly understanding who they are and what their strengths are. But something that this staff is hard at work at, and excited to get back to work this week and prep for a really good CMU team. Go to Detroit and do everything in our power to make sure that we finish what we started, and that's with a bold victory.
First question, Louis.
Hey, Coach. Congratulations. My first question is, what happened to North Dakota State yesterday? Just kidding. Just kidding. You always hear coaches talk about how important bowl practices are for the future. So I guess my question is, how do you balance preparing for the game versus getting guys reps for the future, younger guys? How do you strike that balance and determine how many reps, Preston Stone gets versus Ryan Bowe?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, priority number one, and we've talked about the goals of this program, but one of the goals is to dominate in the postseason, and obviously we aspire to, have our postseason opportunities moving forward, be in the college football playoff, but also the postseason involves bowl opportunities. And ultimately what our seniors deserve, what our leadership deserves is, for us to be at our absolute best in our last game with an opportunity to win a bowl championship. With that being said, us not being in school, after this week, after finals complete, there is an incredible opportunity to be mindful about the way that we're practicing and getting into our routine for, 1 week that'll be here in Evanston, and then 1 week that'll be on bowl site there in Detroit, while also making sure that we're getting our young guys a ton of reps. And we've already started that. And what it really looks like is mindful approach at the beginning of practice with individual fundamentals, technique, plenty of reps in terms of preparing for our opponents, some good on good. But then, reserve time at the end of practice with 7-on-7 in team that involves a lot of our young players. Preston Stone's going to get plenty of reps. Ryan Bowe's going to get plenty of reps. So is Marcus Romaine. It's an incredible opportunity, especially for a guy like Marcus or a guy like Josh Feldman or a guy like Elijah Jones or John Stevens. I mean, the list goes on and on. Jonah Hayes, guys to get a ton of reps of playing our defense, our offense. Essentially, a mini spring ball of sorts, which is something we're really excited about.
Gavin.
Hey, Coach. First off, wanted to say to Louis, too soon on the North Dakota State front. But otherwise, this being your second bowl game, what are some of the things that you learned from, the preparation and, all of this time off leading up into the bowl game and, late December play that you're really adapting from that time into, this upcoming postseason contest?
Yeah, I think sometimes you look at, the Las Vegas Bowl victory and, against a opponent like Utah, and you could easily say, okay, whatever that was, it must have worked. Let's copy and paste. The reality is that was a different time. December wasn't dead for recruiting. The calendars changed. We really went through it and evaluated all. What we wanted to do is make sure that we stayed sharp last week, not even knowing who our opponent was, acknowledge that our guys have finals this week and give them some time to take a deep breath and focus on finals. We'll start practice back up on Wednesday. We'll have a really good Wednesday, a really good Thursday practice. And then on Sunday, we'll get into, our rhythm of a Monday practice, a Tuesday practice, get into that routine. I think it's striking the balance between, preparing our football team to go win a football game, prioritizing some development of our entire roster, while also understanding that our guys got a lot of stuff going on right now. And if we can find some balance of giving them an opportunity to close out this, fall quarter the right way and position them to, be fresh and be sharp and, be healthy as we prepare for this last opportunity, that's something that we've been mindful of as we've mapped out this next few weeks.
Charlie.
Hey, Coach. Just curious, how have you started to lean on veterans who are here for the 2023 bowl game in your preparation for this bowl game? And what have they been able to show the ropes, or how have they been able to show the ropes to younger players so far?
Yeah, I ultimately, Charlie, I think that it's how they showed up to meetings on Thursday and the way that they practiced. It just set a tone for, what we're all about. And at the end of the day, the reality around college football right now is there's so many other things going on. It can be really easy to become distracted. And this senior group, this veteran group, this leadership group, won't allow that to happen. This is an opportunity that we're excited about. We honor by the way that we prep, and ultimately we're prioritizing making sure we're at our absolute best to make sure that we're prepared for a really good CMU team and finish this season off the right way with a win. And it was shown in terms of just the way that those guys modeled themselves this past week in practice. We didn't even know who our opponent was. We didn't know where we were going, but this is something that this program takes seriously. Our players take seriously. And all you have to do is look at Mac Uline or Caleb Tiernan. I mean, we're trying to rein a few of these guys in that have played a ton of Big Ten football and reps. And Caleb Tiernan in Friday's practice was like, listen, I didn't show up just to do Indy today. I showed up to get better at football. Get me in there. Let's go. I mean, what else could you ask for from a senior captain than that type of mentality? And the young guys in the program see that, they feed off of that, they understand what the expectation is.
Matt.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned some of the calendar changes. This time of year, you're starting to see guys enter their names into the portal. It's also kind of a recruiting time of year. Northwestern's popping up for some guys, especially saw one coming in for quarterback the other day. Do you see quarterback as a position of need for you out of the portal for next season?
What I know is Ryan Bowe is someone that this program really believes in, and believes that Ryan Bowe is a starting caliber winner in the Big Ten. Can't be more excited about Ryan Bowe being with us next year. Also with an understanding that, in the Big Ten, you don't have to look far to recognize that you better have, two, if not three quarterbacks in your program that you believe can step, into the Big Ten arena on the road and help you go win a football game. And ultimately, as we evaluate that, we're really excited about the addition of Johnny O'Brien. We're really excited about Marcus Romaine, but ultimately, those guys have not played any Big Ten football. And for us to serve our program and serve our roster best, if we have to evaluate and look at bringing in, a so-called more experienced quarterback, that's something that we have to evaluate for the best of our program, our quarterback room, and ultimately, Ryan Bowe wants that too. He wants to have a competitive room where he feels like at the end of the day, if he got a little dinged up and couldn't finish out a game in the third and fourth quarter, we got someone that can go win us a football game. And I'm not saying that's not Johnny. I'm not saying that's not Marcus, but as we evaluate the entire roster, there's not a ton of experience returning on our team in that quarterback room. And I say that by saying there's no doubt in our mind that Ryan Bowe is someone that can help us win a Big Ten championship.
Gavin.
Coach, speaking of Big Ten championships, last night Indiana, completes a 13-0 season. They're going to be the number one team. Just 2 years after being 3-9, they find the right guy to lead the program. They invest a lot in the resources and going out in the transfer portal and really building that program. How much do you see that as kind of a blueprint for what could happen with Northwestern in, a program that traditionally has been an underdog and one of the lower teams in the Big Ten, but, puts in the right resources and, finds their way to the top of the conference? Or do you think it's kind of a different situation between the two schools?
At the end of the day, Gavin, I think it's both. I think there's things to learn from what we've seen at Indiana and acknowledge their success and the great job that staff and those players have done. One thing that I would take from learn from that is, the transfers that they brought in, it wasn't necessarily a bunch of big flashy names that were bounce backs from Miami and Alabama and USC and maybe some of these marquee a lot of guys that, were playing Group of Five football, FCS football. It just being really thorough in terms of not just the caliber of football player you're bringing in, but the drive and motivation and character of a young man. And also an acknowledgement of the way that Indiana's done it. It's going to have to look different at Northwestern, and that's okay. We embrace that, but don't let me twist words around here. Like the ultimate goal is to position this program to be competing for Big Ten championships and be playing in the college football playoff. And what a credit to Indiana to be able to turn that around in such a short amount of time. And look where they stand right now. Excited for Indiana. It's good for the Big Ten. And ultimately, there's you better show up every single week in this league. And what a great challenge ahead for us, our staff, and everyone involved.
Charlie.
A lot of people would write off someone like Griffin Wilde coming from the FCS level. Obviously, not yourself having coached at that level, but coming to the Big Ten being a step up. What does it just say about him and his pure talent to be able to make an all Big Ten team his first season in the conference?
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you, Charlie. I try. I know those teams are important. Um, I try not to put too much attention into them because honestly, I think we all have a big enough chip on our shoulder around here. In some ways, I think there's plenty of guys on that list that deserve better recognition than they received. And I think Griffin's one of those guys. And then you can acknowledge, like, I firmly believe he was one of the best wide receivers in the Big Ten and one of the best in the country. It's a credit to his skill set for sure, but it's also a credit to like who he is. The guy that you get on a Monday night practice and the guy that you get on, Saturday in prime time, they're the same guy. They're competitive. They're detail oriented. They play. He plays for his teammates. Um, my thing for Griffin going into this bowl prep and going into next season, I'm excited to see him. He leads in such a powerful way already, but it's going to be a great challenge for him to really become the primary voice on that offensive side of the ball, and what a great challenge for him moving forward. But really proud of what he's done and so excited about what's to come with him.
Matt.
Coach, another question about transfers. At this point, I think Northwestern has done one of the best jobs of retaining their players, in the Big Ten and in the country. But at this point in the process, have you had any players let you know of an intention to transfer and or sit out the bowl game, and how have you dealt with those conversations, if so?
Yeah, our position coaches had one-on-one meetings with our guys at the end of last week, and then I'll dive into a bunch of one meetings with our guys here over the course of the next couple weeks. What I can tell you, Matt, and I don't know specifically what I'm allowed to share, what I'm not allowed to share, but I can tell you that of the young men that played significant football for us in the Big Ten this year, we anticipate almost 100% of those guys to return to Northwestern through the conversations we've had, not in the last couple of days, over the course of the last couple of weeks. And we've said retention is going to be our priority, and we've certainly acted in that manner. Matt, I'd be lying to you if I told you there's not going to be, we anticipate a couple guys, potentially looking to transfer. And a lot of times, Matt, that comes from situations of maybe just simply a young man that wants a bigger role. Coach, I got my degree from Northwestern, and I have a year left of eligibility. And if it doesn't look like I'm going to have an opportunity to play a ton, on offense or defense, I want to explore an opportunity to go do that. That's something we'll always navigate those conversations with honesty and transparency, and support guys in those desires. But we anticipate once again having a very I guess a retention rate that we're all really proud of.
Dave.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon. Congrats. Just real quick, any update on you were missing some pretty significant guys for the Illinois game? Any update on their status? Do you anticipate Caleb, Joe, Aiden being back for the bowl game?
Yeah, the good news, Dave, is we got a lot of time. I can tell you I'm really confident about Caleb and Aiden being back. Joe's, more up in the air. Pretty long term for Joe, not a concern, but in terms of the next couple weeks with his injury, definitely more. I don't want to say pessimistic, but very confident in Caleb and Aiden being back. We'll know more about Joe here later this week.
Thanks.
Charlie.
Coach, after a 4-8 season last year, you kind of pledged that this year would be improvement. Reflecting on kind of just last year to this year to now making a bowl game, how rewarding is it just to be going to Detroit?
Yeah, it's really rewarding. Ultimately, we get essentially a month-long extension with this team and with this group, and an opportunity to improve and develop and send our seniors out in a fashion that we're all really proud of. Also, Charlie, like there was an acknowledgement a few days ago in our first team meeting back after the Illinois game that I think we have a football team that ultimately feels like we should have a couple more wins in the win column with this season, and what a great opportunity to like take a deep breath, reflect, you know, ultimately acknowledge that, but then put it aside and say, hey, we have an opportunity to go finish this off the right way with a bowl victory. And that's what we got to focus on. And what I will tell you is this senior group should be really proud of the legacy that they're leaving behind. I mean, truly, a certain level of a recommitment and reestablishment of the standard of what that looks like at Northwestern football. Ultimately, the first Northwestern football team that has become bowl eligible in the new landscape of the Big Ten, and that's not taking anything away from any previous Northwestern football team. There's a lot of reverence and things to be proud of in terms of what this program's accomplished, but this Big Ten is dramatically different than the Big Ten of old, and for this senior group to recognize what they started in January, what they've done, what we've been able to accomplish in terms of becoming bowl eligible. The critical piece in that legacy that we have left is making sure that we position ourselves to be at our best for Central Michigan and put a product on the field that's ultimately a winning product.
Matt.
College football playoff was just finalized. We mentioned Indiana. Another one of the teams in the group there is Tulane. With them getting that number 11 seed, does that reframe that season opener to you at all?
You know what, Matt? I like that. That's a really fair question, but I don't think it does, simply because we we knew what we were dealing with. We knew we were dealing with a really, really good football team. And like this is a two-part. There's an and here. Tulane's a really good football team. They beat us fair and square. They got after us. Credit to them. And uh, we didn't play our best week one. And like in self-evaluation, when we get into January, February, March, I better be willing to evaluate myself in terms of the way that we prepared our football team and positioned ourselves to be at our best week one, because we certainly weren't against Tulane. Credit to John, credit to those players. They had plenty of excuses or explanations or potential distractions, and ultimately they found a way to position themselves to be playing in the postseason. Darn good football team, and I'm happy for those guys.